Hello and welcome back to Homeschool Together. I know what you're thinking. It's summer in Seattle. I got the tan going. Smooth hair. Got
Hey,
them all.
listen, if you don't have, I feel like this is the Fitbit tan, y'all.
Yeah,
I
watch
mean,
tan.
it's pretty good.
Welcome back. We're on week 2 of Build Your Library, Ancient Civilizations. We're having a good journey so far. We hope you guys have enjoyed the last 2 videos. We're going to continue 36 weeks.
Yeah, I don't know.
30-ish videos we'll end up doing through the whole.
I think we're gonna
thing.
actually do videos based on subject matter because some of these things are they're gonna stretch a few weeks.
Yeah.
I mean, I can't only take like 3 weeks in Greece. Come on, or Egypt. I mean, that is not going to be sufficient for our learner. I just know it now. So,
Yeah.
but yeah, this week we had a great study in the Paleolithic era. Talked about stone napping and hunter-gatherers.
Yes.
So this is kind of, if you didn't do a prehistory study before this is, kind of an intro into prehistory. It's really condensed.
Mm-hmm.
It just gives you the basis before we start getting into the first civilizations and the Fertile Crescent next week.
Mm-hmm.
So this is the prime time if you didn't do a prehistory study and you want to add a little bit more than what's called out in the curriculum. We wanted to show you some of our favorite books. If you don't know, we did a full, I think it was 16 weeks.
16, I think it was just 16 units.
Yeah, 16 unit prehistory study that we just finished earlier this year, which we loved and got to go through origins of the universe and dinosaurs and all the great stuff and really great study of evolution. So if you really want to dive into prehistory, that is the way to do it. But if you want to move on to all the cool ancient civilizations, maybe this is a great time to inject some extra books if you want a little bit more prehistory. So we chose some of our favorite books from our prehistory studies, specifically about early humans.
Yeah, specifically about this period.
Exactly.
And we'll go ahead and link the whole playlist, maybe even the video, a couple of videos in the show notes below, so you can jump right over there. But starting out, we have a couple of those kind of early reader books, kind of just fun. Discovery in the Cave. So this is a book about the Lascaux caves in France, very famous. Cave find and kind of painting, prehistoric paintings.
Yep. So
really fun.
Really cool book.
Really quick, super nice. Another one here is level 2, prehistoric mammals.
This is a National Geographic. These are great early readers. You can usually pick these up for like $3.99 online. They're really affordable, so they're really good.
Another one here is DK Find Out, and this is the Stone Age, so obviously very applicable to Paleolithic and Neolithic periods. Going to cover the whole breadth and width of this time frame. Nice little thing that you can nibble through and read a couple pages every day and get a nice little insight on the life and the history and the time of those people.
This is a pretty comprehensive little book.
I like this one. I
think of all of these, I don't know, these two are small and easy. You could read them really quick. This is a real quality book. We bought all these, and we bought this one, and I really recommend getting this one because it's got really good information in it. It's like a smaller, more age-appropriate version of an eyewitness book.
Speaking of which, we have the Early Humans book. So we are collectors of the eyewitness books, just as, guess what, why not? They're great books. And they're great.
Fantastic.
And we as we go through all these curriculums, we just find ourselves pulling them from the shelf. So
just makes my dream come true, guys. We've been collecting these books for like 15 years. I'm not kidding.
And we're finally getting to use them.
So the way that we use this, and we have another one, Prehistoric Life. The way that we tend to use these eyewitness books, these are more advanced. These are not for first grade level at all. But if you have an older learner, they're great. We also use them to our learner loves to look through the pictures. So this is a great one. If you have an eyewitness collection, definitely get these ones. Otherwise, you can get these from the library. The libraries always have these.
And they're widely available. You can even find them very often at Goodwill or thrift stores and stuff.
I mean, it'll take 15 years to get the whole collection, or you could just go buy one. And they now sell them in paperback, which makes them a lot more affordable than they used to be. So with these books, we tend to strew them, or our learner will look through them. We'll kind of look together, and we'll just pick out things that look interesting. These are kind of the equivalent of going to a museum and what you would pick out in a museum to read. Maybe you're not going to read about every artifact. Maybe you're just going to flip through and look at the pictures. This is basically an at-home museum, and that's kind of how we use it. We don't read through the whole thing cover to cover.
Well, especially when certain subjects come up in various aspects of these time frames, like the we're doing Paleolithic or Neolithic. They're going to be talking about napping of the tools, which we'll get into a little bit. But they'll have whole spreads on tools and whatnot. So
and
they're really
what's
useful.
nice is that all these books, these other books, are like showing artist renderings, but these are always going to be mostly real pictures, of real artifacts. Where they've got some line drawings and things, but it's mostly real artifacts. And I like juxtaposing real with great drawings.
Great drawings. So when we became
maybe
humans,
both are kind of good.
This is a whole series of books about this, but this one about humans really takes you through the whole life cycle of humans, from primates all the way up to kind of Paleolithic, Neolithic farming level of history. So it takes you through everything. Might be a little bit more than maybe what you're looking for this time period, but this is a wonderful book that just kind of gives you the whole picture in more of an accessible, child-friendly, age-appropriate way with drawings and whatnot. And I love the pair. I would like, if I could recommend, it would be pairing one of these with one of those.
Yes.
Either the Eyewitness books or the Stone Age. I think
these two. The Prehistoric Life is, Early Humans is great, but you kind of get it here.
Mm-hmm.
This is great because it gives you all the rest of the creatures and things that were there during that time.
Yeah.
This book is fantastic. There are 2 other books, When Plants Took Over the Planet and When Whales Walked, that are also excellent. But this was our favorite of that series. I would highly recommend buying this because this is a great human evolutionary book.
Yep.
And I think it's just fabulous.
Yeah, just tells the whole story. Maisie's Mammoth Memoirs, yeah.
Memoirs.
So basically, if you want to just learn about different animals of the kind of, post-dinosaur, asteroid hitting the Earth, all the way up to mammals, it's a great example of getting into those kind of large mammals, large animals of that time period. It was fun. It was kind of a cute story. So if you're looking for something short, maybe a little easy, brisk read before bed one night, Maisie's Mammoths are a really good one.
Yeah, these are good. You can just pick 1 or 2 animals a night if you want to read about them with great drawings. So you got your drawings part for creatures and for humans, and then we have our real books for creatures and for humans. You see a pattern here.
Yep.
These were our favorites anyway. So if you want to add in a small prehistory extra study, this is a great time to do it, because next week we're going to be getting into early civilizations. So this is really your only shot to do it if you want to add in some extra books.
Especially if you haven't done that prehistory combo like we did.
If you did the prehistory combo, what we did with these books, just in case you did follow along and do the prehistory before, we went ahead and took these books and just kind of laid them out, and our daughter looked through them and reminded herself about, that's what we remember. I remember this picture. And so that was really a fun way to do it. If you want to stop and do a bigger prehistory, just know Blossom and Roots Prehistory, it's a 3rd grade additional science. It's like an adjunct science, and it is a 15-week. And then Build Your Library has one, it's only 6 weeks. So, and it's more human focused. So those are kind of your 2 options. We decided to blend them because we're crazy. But just so you know, it's 6 weeks if you did want to stop and do the Build Your Library unit study. This is where that might slip in.
Yep, absolutely. So getting into the books for this week, we're going to talk about the spine, one of our spines that we have brought into the whole curriculum. We're going to be talking about a lot of spines all the way through our videos, but we're going to talk about just one today.
Yeah, we'll highlight one each time, otherwise we'd be here for 2 hours.
National Geographic's Kids Food Fight.
We love the food, as you know, if you've watched all our other videos. We always like to cook stuff. So this was really fun because it actually gives fun facts and things for what they ate, or recipes inspired by the types of foods they had access to at different times in history, which I think is really cool. This doesn't apply to every civilization, but there's food from the Egyptians there, and there is Roman food. And so this was cave mix.
Cave mix and the roasted mastodon
on a stick, which is just, it's like kebabs.
Kebabs, yeah.
So it's got lots of cool facts about the different foods that they ate and why they ate those foods and how they prepared them, and then recipes that are modern recipes but are kind of inspired by what they did. It's a National Geographic Kids book, which I think is great, and you can see it shows all kinds of facts and historical cool things. So this is one we will pull in periodically as we go, but it was cool for this.
Another pro tip: 3x5 index cards everywhere, keeping, especially when you're on a spine and you're going through 80 or 90 pages. You need bookmarks on everything.
This is part of the prep that I do for you before every week is I put in the index card where it needs to be.
Our crates are right there.
Yeah.
And I see all the index cards.
Maybe next week we should show what the crate looks like.
Yeah, we'll show it. No, we did last week.
So this is the spine that we're highlighting this week, but know that there's a whole bunch of extra spines of our own that we used, and we don't want to go through them all this week, but they're in the show notes, and we will be doing in-depth reviews as we go along. But if you're following along with us in real time and you want to know what else we use this week, show notes.
Nathaniel Flood.
So this was our fun read of the week. As you heard last week, we're reading Tale of Despero. That's a 3-week read, so we're still in the middle of that. But we also pulled in some books from Torchlight because I already had them. So Nathaniel Flood, Beastologist. This is the second book about a little boy in the 1920s who is learning to care for mythical beasts. Our daughter absolutely loves this book. It's pretty fast. We read it maybe 4 nights together.
So it looks like there's a drawing almost every page, every other page?
No, there's like 1 or 2 a chapter. Just line drawings, but it's really fun. It doesn't have anything to do specifically with this, but it's kind of archaeologist-y, goes on adventures. I don't know. It's a little kid Indiana Jones type of thing. There's no artifacts or things, but it's all about these mythical creatures, and our daughter really enjoyed it. So if you're looking for a fun read now or anytime, this Nathaniel Flood series has been really good so far.
Another series of books that we've been highlighting, I think we did the Around the World journey, we did the Prehistory. You Wouldn't Want to Be a Mammoth Hunter. Right,
so this is a book that we did during Prehistory, but we wanted to pull it in again, and we just left it out for our daughter because we own this one.
I actually think I reread it.
Did you reread it? It's really good.
Yeah.
It's a scholastic series that kind of takes a totally sarcastic, but a little bit sarcastic look.
Playful way of, and especially the drawings and a little bit of the dialogue that appears on the page is very fun and playful. Think of kind of like a Magic School Bus or something of that nature.
One of the things that's cool about the series is it tends to highlight like everyday people. So it's, this one you wouldn't want to be a mammoth hunter. There's one you wouldn't want to be a worker on the Great Wall of China. You wouldn't want to be a Sumerian slave. You wouldn't want to be, there's all these different ones, and they're pretty cool because they're not talking about, so much of history is discussed by who was ruling, right?
Yeah.
The important people. And this tells the lives of like everyday people. And so I think that's a pretty cool angle, and I haven't seen that embraced in any other books.
Yeah.
So I think this is unique in that way.
Yeah. It's actually along the same threads as the History Quest. When you're reading those books, they're really taking you into the lives of everyday people, especially with the short little stories at the end of the chapter.
Yeah, the history hops.
The history hops, they're also doing this method as well, where they're taking you into the everyday lives of people who lived in that time period. Along the same lines as the Mammoth Hunter, you wouldn't want to live without fire. Obviously, you would not want to live without fire. Another little playful thing, again, prehistoric time period, especially in this week where we're talking about humans learning to master tools and technology and starting to use things to better their lives, make things easier, being able to accomplish more. Just kind of in the whole milieu of prehistory, where they're learning how to stop being cavemen and starting to become more farmers and building houses and starting to grow food and domesticating animals and things of that nature. So they're starting to talk about this technology, and this was kind of a theme as moving through hunters and gatherers, because when you're talking about hunters and gatherers, you have to juxtapose that against us living in houses and buying our food from the grocery stores. And so these type of books really help to set that set the time and place.
This is only a half read because there's only half of the book that deals with when they got fire, and the rest is fire throughout history. So I mean, you can keep reading if you want to, but just know if you're planning that this is only half a read this week.
Absolutely. So going into movies, there were 3 movies we did. One of them we referenced when we were doing the prehistory.
Right. So we didn't rewatch it, but we wanted to tell you about it.
So this is the First Peoples documentary on PBS. It's I think it was like a 4-episode thing.
We got it from our library.
It was really, really good. We really enjoyed it. I think we'll link that in the show notes below if you want to pick that up, and you can watch the video. I think where we review that as well. Another one was Brother Bear, which was kind of like an animated movie, playful movie about a bunch of bears, but First Peoples and anthropomorphized spirits. And
it was cool. Well, so we had already watched, we'd already done kind of the silly kid movies, right? We watched Ice Age and the Croods, when we did Prehistory. And so it's kind of like, well, what are we going to watch this time that's different? And I thanks ChatGPT,
Yes.
I asked it what, other movies there were, and I didn't realize that Brother Bear was set in the Paleolithic. So that was a really fun one. Our kids really enjoyed it. So that was the one we watched for the kids.
Another one is a horribly overdue movie from the library right now.
Which is why we have to record tonight.
Come on. We watched Alpha, and this was kind of a movie, I think it came out a couple of years ago, about a story about a young boy in a clan, and they're going out to doing their yearly hunting, going to the hunting grounds. And he's been selected to be in the hunting party, and his father is the chief of the tribe. Something terrible happens, and he's got to try and survive. And along the way, he befriends a dog, and so
a wolf. This is talking about that
kind of
time
where man and wolves kind of came together.
Right, and if you want to watch this one, it'd be really great to grab From Wolf to Woof. When we'll link that in the show notes. I did get it from the library.
That's a really good book.
It's about the evolution of dogs and the domestication of dogs. And so this is kind of in that vein. This was really good. Note that it is all done in, and I'm not sure what the language was.
Yes.
I'm not sure what language it is, but it was done, they tried to do a period language on it. So it is all done in subtitles. So you will have to read to your kiddos. That being said, there's not a whole lot of talking here because it's him and the wolf mostly. There's quite a few scenes of peril. Nothing
gory, nothing terrible. But this was probably more, I don't know if this would be for a first grader.
Well, we watched it with our first grader and our 4-year-old. So everyone was okay with it. It's a survival story, right? So there's going to be lots of that where there's animals attacking and they got to fight together, and sometimes somebody's wounded.
There's some pretty like scary moments, like they're sitting around a campfire and they're hearing noises, and something takes one of the guys. It's kind of scary in parts. But,
a little bit, but our kids were fine with it. Like I said, our 4-year-old watched it. If you have sensitive kiddos, just watch Brother Bear. But if you have older kids or your kids are fine with this kind of stuff, like we said, there's nothing gory in it, but there's quite a bit of peril, and it ends fine. And the dog does not die. I just want to tell everybody that.
Spoilers.
Because we would not, I just want you to, I hope you know us by now, but we would not recommend a movie where the dog died because I can't take it. So just know, just a spoiler, but the dog doesn't die. So
no $1 million.
Anyways.
Yeah.
God.
We'll have to tell that story.
I Am Legend. I Am Legend.
$1 million baby.
I couldn't listen to Bob Marley for like 3 years.
I know.
If you know, you know.
It was rough. We did go and watch a few videos. There's a cool Neil Ferguson video from National Geographic talking about hunters and gatherers in Papua New Guinea. He spent like most of his life studying.
It's Jared Diamond.
Jared Diamond. I'm sorry. Yes, Jared Diamond. He wrote the famous Guns. Where is it?
Guns, Germs, and Steel.
Guns, Germs, and Steel, right there. And it was really, really good. He spent most of his life studying the people in the highlands up there and all the various tribes and languages. He's really interesting to listen to. He's got a lot of cool, interesting ideas. We watched that video. Also, there's this great series on English heritage about old prehistoric Paleolithic era tool making, and we watched a really cool video of a young gentleman making a stone axe from hand. It's beautifully shot and beautifully filmed. He's kind of in this Paleolithic hut, and he's actually working it and chipping off the stones. And it was super interesting, and my daughter really, really enjoyed, watching him make this, the stone axe. And even my youngest was. And I found them like trying to hit rocks together outside. It was really, really cool. Really cool videos. I think it kind of brought out that experience.
And we'll link that all in the show notes below, so you can see those videos.
Absolutely. We did do some art. Do you want to do art? Yeah.
Yeah. So we did. If you followed, let's talk about our writing.
No, do the writing prompt.
If you followed us from the first videos, I added in a writing prompt each week because I want our daughter to get some creative writing time, even though her, she can't write that. Doesn't have the stamina to really write yet. Yep. So she did this and she dictated it to you, and you typed it.
I essentially typed it as she dictated it.
So we wrote a writing prompt, and you can use whatever you want. I use ChatGPT to ask it, give me a writing prompt for the Paleolithic. So she wrote one about being a Paleolithic explorer, and it was about a little girl and her brother. And then we typed it for her really quick, and then we printed it on her EcoTank, and she drew a picture. So this has been really fun. We've actually gotten into the writing prompts every week.
And when you're doing that, I have found that I can't hover while she's doing that, so I will tell her the writing prompt, and I'll ask her to go and sit on the couch or whatever and quietly think about her story.
Take some time.
Otherwise, she'll just start like word vomiting out a story, and she's kind of awkward and she doesn't know where to go sometimes. So I tell her, go sit down, think of your story, come back to me when you're done, and then I'll go ahead and type it for you. So if you're doing writing prompts, give them a little bit of time to kind of gather their thoughts, the story, the whole path. And it's funny, she goes over there, sits there for about 10-15 minutes, comes back, and she's got this full story. It was a couple paragraph long, very involved, a lot of just wild details. And I could tell like half of it, she's thrown it out while it's happening, but she has the major story arc. And it's fun to see her telling stories that, sound, they make sense, right? There's a problem. You got to solve the problem. They solve the problem and they come home.
Well, and it's more sophisticated than what you would see a first grader write, because she couldn't write all of that. No. I love the idea of scribing for our kids. Yes. And we're gonna give that speech to text another try in a few weeks. But for now, transcribing worked really nicely.
Yep. Then we did some artwork. I think one of the things was to create a cave painting out of a paper bag. So pretend like you're in a cave, and I had her sitting there, and she was painting on the walls like little handprints. So
here's the cave art.
Yeah, so it was pretty simple, pretty straightforward. It was fun. It took a 30 or 40 minute thing, and I was able to let her do that while I was helping with the 4-year-old. Meanwhile, the 4-year-old wanted to get into some painting, so I did a little bit of painting by numbers with her. So it was kind of fun. She's learning her numbers, and she has to paint, associating the number, and I just set a color and everything. So really, really helpful. Great way to get them both working together. Because I know some of you guys have some young ones coming with you. So thinking about ideas on how to make the activities enjoyable. I think we'll talk about an activity next week that I had both of them working together. Really, really cool. Really, really fun. We had a good time.
Yeah, this was a good week. We really enjoyed it. And even though it was a little bit of a refresh for our family, I think that it was a good refresh. So if you have done prehistory, don't skip this week. I don't think that you should skip it, even if you did 16 weeks like we did, because unless you're coming like directly off of prehistory and you're going right into this, then, maybe you could kind of fly through it. But otherwise, if you've taken any kind of a break like we did, I think it was really good to get back to it.
Yeah, I think we took like a couple month break from when we ended that until we started here. So definitely worth starting over again. So we'll come back. This was Paleolithic, old stone. We're going Neolithic next week, new stone. So, different stones.
So stay tuned, and all the books and all the media will be down in the show notes. And if you need to pick up any of these books, we'd really appreciate you using our affiliate links. It keeps us going.
That's right.
Thank you so much.
See you guys next week.